Hi, I'm going to be reviewing random TikTok videos and YouTube shorts.
Tofu for protein today in under 5 bites. First one's plain.
Ah, it looks disgusting. It's seed slime, same as bread, but it looks more disgusting because it's so soft and sort of slimy. Nothing wrong with slimy food, but when you understand that it's made out of seeds, then it just seems way more disgusting.
Oh, how do people eat this stuff? We're adding cinnamon. Bite number 2.
Cinnamon is tree bark. You're crazy. Oh, fuck off.
Ew. That only made it better for a second. Bite 3, let's do Old Bay. Oh, flavor's gone. Ew. Last bite we got ketchup. Oh.
That's why people always grill it until it's almost black. They don't want to taste it anymore. They cover it up with all kinds of sauces.
This looks gross. I almost threw up.
Incredibly counterintuitive, the whole video. Eating tofu is just counterintuitive. It goes against your nature. Vegans and people who follow plant-based diets try to talk themselves into believing that there's a lot of protein in the tofu. It's all BS. It's just an idea.
You guys need to stop making me do this. Best bite Old Bay tofu.
You're doing it to yourself. I don't know who this guy is, but you're doing it to yourself. Doesn't matter what's going on behind the scenes.
Tofu. Worst bite ketchup tofu.
What is that on his chest? Is it cystic acne? It's alarming. 2005? Did he mean 2025 or what? 106 kilograms, 5'8". Same old story. He wants to be bigger, and because he can't, he uses drugs to grow tumors all over his body just to look wider. It's fucked up.
Guess what, folks? I hate going to the gym. I'd rather be poked in the eye than go work out in the gym for 2 or 3 hours. But I love going out in the pasture and the woods and working for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 hours. So
No, you don't. We can see that. Who knows why he's lying to himself? Maybe he feels forced to do the work. And that's why it's easier for him to go into denial. That's usually the case. He's also lying to the audience, but we can see what's actually going on, which is why it's pointless to do it. When you do this, then it may seem like you're doing something, because when you compare this to going to a gym where you lift metal up and down for no reason, then it may seem as if it has some kind of purpose. Maybe that's what he means, but he clearly hates doing it.
that's my CrossFit. I do this on my farm channel. We have videos over there if you want to check it out. But don't sit in the house. Even
Farm work can be very hard, and I've never seen anybody enjoy it. Just never. It's not what we are naturally supposed to do.
if it's cold, this is mid-February. It's not 100 degrees out here, but I'm still out here in the sun.
Yes, feeding some chickens and all of that is fine, but not heavy, hard stuff.
Sunlight, even though it's a cloudy day, you're still getting lots of sunlight. You're getting lots of infrared. It's good for you. It goes right through your clothes. Get outside and do something. Break a sweat, get winded, get out of breath, get healthy.
But if you get winded and if you get out of breath, then you reduce your lifespan, meaning that you will be unhealthier. Why should we do that? Why should we go against our intuition, which tells us to be healthy? Makes no sense. Me, how did I get heart problems? This is what I always talk about. Running stretches out the heart, it stresses the heart, and that's why eventually you will have all kinds of problems with your heart. It's common sense. Your body already tells you that it's bad for you when you're running. You know it. It's just that people choose ideas over their intuition nowadays.
This is a crazy experiment. They showed babies a puppet show. A red puppet struggles to get uphill and the yellow one helps it. The gray one, on the other hand, pushes it down. Now the baby is to pick between the puppets. 80% of 6 to 10-year-olds pick the yellow helper puppet and not...
Obviously, this is called self-preservation. You basically imagine that you are the one that needs help, which is why you would choose the one that helps you.
Not the bad gray puppet. Another test, the good puppet plays fair. The bad puppet steals. Once again, the babies chose the kind puppet.
Again, self-preservation, it's human nature. It's every animal's nature. Every animal would choose the puppet or animal, whatever kind of being that would help them to survive, to live, because that's what we naturally want.
Even at 6 months old, babies prefer kindness to cruelty. By 8
Obviously, nobody wants cruelty. Again, human nature.
months, they reward the good and punish the bad. Morality and instincts are not just taught. You are born.
Your instincts are innate. You were born with your instincts. Morals come from religions. It's this belief that there's a general good and bad out there, and that's of course all imaginary. For example, if I hunt down an animal, I will slaughter it. The animal will feel a lot of pain, but I will feel super happy and healthy because of the meat, the organs, blood that I will get from the animal. No animal sees life this way. It's only brainwashed humans that believe in morals, only religious people. In reality, it always depends on your perception. The animal that you killed also killed other animals. They suffered, but he still did it because that made him feel good. And you do it because it makes you feel good. And if somebody would do it to you, then all of a sudden they would be bad. It's all bullshit. It just depends on who is doing it. Humans created this to enslave others. They want you to believe that there is a general good and bad out there. It's impossible. In this reality, there cannot be.
With them. They are human traits that you have. Do not ignore them.
Is that real? He was flexing. His body fat was pretty low. Why did he faint? Because of caffeine, maybe? That happens to people in gyms. Could be anything.
You get used to how great your life is. No one had a hot shower until 50 years ago. George Mack, my friend,
Who cares? They had bathtubs. It's not as if you need any of that, but bathtubs are way better.
pointed this out to me. When you stand in a hot shower, just for a moment, just go, well, no one that you admire from 100 years ago had this simple pleasure in life.
Yes, and back then people were eating raw meat, they were drinking blood, they had access to wild animals, they lived double as long as us. I could go on and on. Everything was better. Nothing is better now. Nothing. Nothing at all.
And when you look at the world that we live in, there's been 100 billion people ever, right? We are in the top percentile in terms
Totally delusional. Super brainwashed. Who is this guy?
of the luck that we have had, the lives, like the
Wow, how can you even live like this? You don't live in this reality, man. You live in your own imagination. How could things get worse than they are now. You can't even think of a worse time to live in.
The calorific intake that we just take for granted, the fact that our children don't die,
Food doesn't have calories. If you wouldn't be so brainwashed, then you would understand that.
in the first year, the modern medicine.
Why would they? That's what happens nowadays. You're just relying on some historical records that some people wrote. When you actually look at humans that live in nature, their children don't die. Why would they magically just die?
The entertainment that we get, we're living like
The entertainment. Why do we have entertainment? I wonder, what do we do nowadays? We play video games to imitate what we really want. We watch movies to imitate what we really want. We listen to music, which is about what we really want. We read books about what we really want. Should I go on? Or are you gonna wake up from your fucking dream? What's wrong with this guy? What's wrong with people nowadays? You're literally enslaved. You're not allowed to do what you want to do. Every day of your life is the opposite of your life in nature, what it should be. Oh my god.
kings.
What? Wait. Did he just say that we live like kings, or what did he say? Oh my god. So a king is enslaved and cannot do what he wants to do. And instead, he consumes art and imagines constantly that he's doing all of that. That's a king's life. So a king doesn't go out and actually do all of that. A king dreams about it. Super logical, just wow, super great video. It's not one of the stupidest videos that I've ever seen in my life.
Yet, life has never been objectively better and
Of course, he had to say objectively. He talks about his opinion, a completely subjective topic, but he says objectively. I love these people who talk about absolutely 100% subjective topics and use the word objectively. Then you can know that they are fucked in their head.
objectively worse. Because the nature of humanity is our desires are mimetic. So we've got this thing where we sort of, how happy are you? Well, it's your quality of life minus envy. That's how happy you are. And it's easy to look at everyone else and how they're doing and not take pleasure in what you have.
I think I'm about to give up on Jesus. It's ironic, I've been making videos for God, but I'm the closest I've ever been to not believing. Personally, I've cried out to God an extensive amount of times. I broke down crying to him, thought about him 24/7, and nothing has changed.
You cannot think about him 24/7 because you have never met him. You are talking about your imagination. It's an idea which was implanted in your mind by other people. It's not somebody who you actually sensed.
And so many people message me about the same thing, wondering why they were born like this. God says that those who will seek him shall find him, but sometimes it doesn't feel like that's the case. At churches and in videos, I always hear people talking about how God saved them. But not only have I never felt anything similar to that, sometimes it feels like
God cannot save you because God doesn't exist. It's as simple as that. You can imagine that he saved you, that he talked to you.
that's not a genuine reason. Everyone talks about faith, but at what point do you cross a line between delusion and faith? Every religion can use this argument of experience. For example, Buddhism and Enlightenment, Alan Watts and Michael Singer and what they say about spirituality. Also, a lot of these results could be attributed to placebo effect. A lot of people say, yeah, the Bible brings them peace, but whenever I read the Bible, I don't think I've ever felt at peace. For me, it brings more anxiety to my heart because it feels like every story is made up. We continue to alter our worldviews to fit the Bible. Adam and Eve eating an apple, no evolution, no correlation to science. Even the concept of heaven and hell seems artificial. And on God's sovereignty, I didn't ask to be born. No one asked to be born. So how could
Heaven and hell is a simple control mechanism. Do good and go to heaven, do bad and go to hell. It's simply based on fear.
a loving God send people that he created to hell? I know some people have been through such atrocities in their life that they believe there's no way there is a good God. How is it fair that they are damned to hell?
Right, and that's because these people don't understand the nature of this reality. They believe that there is some kind of good out there. They simply imagine it. They don't understand the so-called rules of this reality, which is what we call nature. That's all that you need to follow. And It's not even about following it, seeing as you naturally do it. When you follow your intuition, then you are living the way you should, and that's it. And that's when you will feel the best. You are talking about following some man-made texts, stories, as you said.
Also, if the goal is heaven, why didn't we just start with that? Why would Satan exist? Why would this fall happen? There's a lot of circular reasoning. Why did he send Jesus during a time of no social media or documentation? Yes, I understand it's supposed to be a relationship with Jesus, but there are people in this world who can't believe simply because their hearts can't believe without enough evidence. And that means they're sentenced to eternal damnation. And that answer itself can't sit right with a lot of people. What if God actually communicated with us verbally like he did back then? Imagine how powerful that'd be. But then you might argue then, oh, it wouldn't be a genuine relationship because
It makes no sense at all to believe that God communicated with people verbally, because that would mean that God spoke a man-made language. Makes zero sense. The Bible was written in a man-made language. It's symbols that you interpret. That's it. How could God talk to you in a language which was created by humans afterwards? The only way that God could communicate with you, if there would be a God, would be through your body. It would have to be based on what is innate, meaning that you were born with that, and you were born with your intuition, your nature, meaning that you already know what you're supposed to do in this life. How could you be born not knowing what you're supposed to do, and then sometime later some people think of some stories, and then these stories give you the meaning of life, and that's how you avoid hell? You just have to be kind of naive and gullible to believe that.
God would be forcing himself upon him. The thing is, people saw Jesus resurrect back then and still doubted him, so the question isn't whether or not people would believe in him. There still would be that relational aspect. It makes you wonder if the story is fabricated. Also, there's a topic of Calvinism versus Arminianism, and the fact we're even arguing about this is crazy. And logically, we're getting to a point where we might reach AGI, which means we could simulate other worlds. The implications for this would be insane, and it brings into question whether or not our world itself is simulated. And that probably would be more likely. But of course, it's in some universe that has some mechanisms beyond our comprehension. Also, if we start to create consciousness or discover aliens, the Bible is not going to help us with these type of questions. And another part is, before you're born, there is no consciousness. So why would it not be the same after death? It seems like common sense that after death would be the same. In history, we constantly use God of the gaps. We would attribute things we didn't know to God. Sometimes it feels like that's what Christianity is doing. A lot of the times it just seems far more logical to be agnostic and believe that human existence is something that is beyond comprehension, something that we will never understand. And personally, if I have to deal with the constant questioning for the rest of my life, the anxiety and the back and forth, wouldn't it just be better to not be Christian?
The reason you question all of this is because you're lost. Humans in nature don't think about any of this. They simply live their lives to the fullest. Why would you need to think about the purpose or the meaning of life if you're perfectly happy and healthy? There's just no need. But modern slaves who are unhappy and unhealthy will fall for these religions.
I feel like the anxiety and depression, the amount of it is not worth it.
My parents, really loved me, but they thought I was totally ill, mentally ill.
Right.
They thought that there's something off. My mother went.
And they laugh as if he's joking. He used drugs for many years. He wanted to become unnaturally big, huge. Obviously, something wasn't right with him.
And many times to our house doctor and complained to him, he says, there's something off with our son. You better
Of course, naturally, they noticed that. It's understandable.
Study him a little bit here, because he comes home for lunch and then he does 250 sit-ups instead of eating lunch.
Right.
Then on the way back to school, he then quickly eats. He says, and then he comes home at the 10 o'clock.
Right, why would you do that? Not because you intuitively want to do that. Something was going on. He was influenced, and really you could say brainwashed by the media, because this is not something that he heard about from some local guy. Obviously, it came from the media.
At night, he works at 2 hours down in the gym. And then look at this wall here in his bedroom. I mean, look at all his pictures of naked men hanging. And all his friends have, pictures of women. Should we be concerned about that also? I mean, this guy's 15 years old and there's all these naked men. I mean, these are all bodybuilding champions.
What we could see in a lot of these videos is that People nowadays have trouble accepting the way they look like, which is understandable a lot of times because of the modern problems that humans experience. But instead of focusing on the root cause of the problem, people try to mask the symptoms of the problem. And a lot of times it's not going to be possible to actually fix the problem if you're older already or if you inherited something. The guy who was on steroids clearly felt too short and too small. Maybe he felt as if his bones are too small, and that's why he wanted to be bigger. He started using the drugs. You create these tumor like muscles, and then you may feel bigger, but it's not what you actually want. You're actually just trying to mask the problem. Instead, he could have tried eating natural food. He could then have children, and he could create bigger and taller children. Instead, he will simply get sicker and sicker. You could see that actual pus was coming out of his body. He was trying to find a way around nature. That's impossible. If you feel like your body is aging quicker, then avoid stress, start eating natural raw foods, consume organs, eat what humans eat in nature, and teach that to your children. Then they won't experience the same problems. Your life doesn't have to end with you. You can create new, healthier, better lives. Thanks for watching.